Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special presentation here at Motor C Metrics and Tiger Mining Reports TigersMLReport.com. Jack says hi. Alec.
Oh, that's my wife.
Okay.
That's
Hello,
my
Mrs.
wife, my kid.
Just because like we had a woman in here and I just was startled by that because we never had that. That's
Exactly.
all right. All right. So
It's like that episode of Big Bang Theory in the comic book store when the girls walk in. Everybody loses their mind.
although I will say our female audience actually is picking up. We have like a 7% female audience, up from 2% at the beginning of the year. So I'm excited about that.
Almost over tripled.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
Well, that's one more. So that's.
is that your sister-in-law? I take it.
Yep.
All right.
I'm
All right. So this is a little different for us. So a couple years ago I started a Discord, based off people that are in. It was one of those things where, I wanted to get a Tigers community out there. Hello, Bruce. And I knew some people that were kind of tired of Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it. So I started based off an idea I saw on Prospects Live. Prospects Live has a really good Discord. And so if anybody's not familiar with Discord, it's just pretty much a chatting app. In other words, gentlemen, is the best way I can describe it.
It's just a social media like group, like a big group chat. You can talk to everybody. Yeah.
So along those lines, Steve and Charlie were some of my most active users in the chat, and the chat's not close to 300 people now. I think it's like 267 or something like that last I checked. So I wanted to get people from the Discord because we have some really good baseball minds in there. I got a chance to meet Charlie this year at South Bend with Chris, and excuse me.
It was a good time.
It was a very good time. Yeah. Again, love that tavern we went to, the Irish bar.
Fiddlers. Yeah, that's a good
Fiddlers
place.
was awesome. Great music. Good evening, Tyler, to you as well. And so, anyways, I wanted to get people from Discord because there's some really good baseball takes and they're good baseball minds in there. Sometimes it's funny because Ghost Mav, aka Steve, sometimes I like his passion. I got to meet him a couple times and we've hung out a couple times at games. So
I just get bored. I'm also a Twitter hack. So
oh, Tyler, thank you very much. My birthday is next Thursday. So next Thursday I will be some age that no one should know about. Anyway, but thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that. But anyway, so the idea of the Discord chat is to get people in here and give a voice. And I knew these guys could talk baseball. And so there's a lot that happened this season. There's been a lot of just storylines. And so welcome aboard, guys. And hopefully we could do this again sometime soon because I think this is going to be a really good thing going forward.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, for sure.
All right. So Blood Right here with $5 already. Thank you.
Take a guess.
Oops. Wait.
He's the man.
So I have my Mad Dog Russo. What's up?
Exquisite.
Thank you for that. Blood Right. Blood Right is I used to think that Blood Right was Scott Harris for some strange reason. Like just no. But anyway. So the first question I wanted to ask. So one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is what got you into Detroit Tigers baseball, and what was your earliest memory? I'll start with you, Charles, because I know we talked about this a little bit in South Bend, but I'm interested because, yeah, you're in a different state. You have math, you have quantum physics or whatever you have going on, back there. So why did Detroit Tigers, out of curiosity?
Well, my dad is from Michigan. Grew up in Coldwater, went to Michigan State, and of course, grew up with the Tigers. Was 68 was a big part of his childhood. And he made that me and my brother's problem. But as far as let me restart. Actually, when I was really little, I was very defiant, and I wanted to be a Blue Jays fan because my grandpa was in Canada. But eventually, the two of them beat me down. The two of them being my dad and my brother, and I really had no say in the matter.
They wouldn't let you pick for the rival at the time anyway. Blues would have been the rivals.
See, and that's the thing, is that even when I was a Blue Jays fan, I still didn't like the Twins. So the Twins, my Twins transcends my love of the Tigers.
All right, that's fair. But what about you, Steve?
I I mean, I grew up, to be honest, I grew up playing hockey. I played a lot of hockey growing up. But when I was a kid too, my great uncle and my dad went to the '68 World Series, all that stuff too. And my great uncle and my dad took me to a game. I remember being a kid, and that's when they used to give away the full size bats, the whole bats for bat day, and that was just the coolest thing as a kid, getting a full size bat. But that in like 2005, 2006, like just ended up falling in love with baseball again, and it just ended up being just, I mean, that whole season was amazing. And we've had season tickets ever since. I've been going to games for many, many years now.
Yeah,
All the time.
Steve, you bring up the full-size bats. I do remember as a kid going to Old Tiger Stadium and getting a Bobby Higginson full-size bat.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the ones I have. I can't remember. I have two of them from back in the day, and then I have the last one they did, which was like a Pudge one, I think, which was like 2008 or 9. I think was the last time they ever did it. Yeah, but it was some of the coolest stuff. They would give away the full, because they only do the mini bats now. They want to give people the weapons anymore.
Exactly. Things get so out of control now in the stands. I think full size bats would be a riot waiting to happen.
It's just crazy they used to give out the full size bats to begin with. Literally just full size wooden bats.
Well,
in that part of town.
I was going to say I can attest. 1982. I got one from Milwaukee County Stadium when the Tigers were there because we used to go to Milwaukee because it was much closer.
Okay.
And mine was a Ben Ogilvy.
Oh, nice.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
She wants to know, was that our wedding's DJ's brother?
Yes. Cousin. So Bobby Higginson's cousin was the DJ for our wedding.
Nice.
Awesome.
It was the most random thing too, because it's not like we went out of town to find him. He was here locally, Jamie Higginson, and we were talking about it, and like it came. I think I was wearing a Tigers hat at one of the interviews, and my cousin played for this. No.
No, it's just I know that he frequent the strip club, so I wonder if his cousin Jamie helped him get some tips on how to choose the right songs there. But allegedly, of course.
That explains why the dancing segment got a little intense. Okay.
So one of the things that I want to kick off this little roundtable, if you will, is your overall impressions of the 2023 Detroit Tiger season. So we had a few days, Tuesday we did a show. And we're more focused on Scott Harris's comments. There's some audio, like I said, I'm playing around with some of the audio, and we used some of it for this show introduction for this week. But I didn't really get a chance to sit down and kind of think about the season as a whole, how close we were on the predictions, those kind of things. But I'm asking you, I'll start with you, Steve, because you are a season ticket holder, and I know that you want this team to spend. I know that you've been frustrated with this team quite a bit. So, quick overall impressions of the season.
I mean, I yell a lot on Twitter, and I don't know, I get frustrated. But either way, they had a pretty good season. I mean, I think it was pretty good overall. I mean, I think they succeeded in what they want to do. I mean, I thought they'd go 70 on 92.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, they succeeded all that. They almost got to 500 at the end, so that's good. I mean, Riley Green. I mean, there's a couple of things they could have done, like if Riley Green doesn't get hurt, and a couple other things like. Also, like not holding on to some of those people for forever long, like Maton and Scope just on the roster for so long. There's no reason to do that. But I think they had a really good year as far as that goes. As record goes, you saw improvements from Torque and everybody else. The pitching staff took strides forward, everything like that. I think it's overall a success. Like I don't really have any issues with I mean, I gripe about certain things about what Scott Harris does, and I want them to spend. I mean, even if they don't want to spend this offseason, I just need to see a creative move. Some sort of big move to get a bat. You have to get creative in some way, because they do things they've been doing things. So this whole year, this whole year was to feel out what they have. We know what you have now, and you have to do something, some major improvement in the offense to make it better. Because the pitching's fine. You gotta supplement it somehow and get a bat, whether it be a trade. There's not much in the free agent market, and that's fine. But you have to make a trade. This guy says to be the main thing is to be creative. Is to do something.
All right, joining us too, and it was funny because for a while I just knew him as Nacho Man, but I ended up knowing him. He's a fellow. He actually
now I'm the real Scott Harris.
Yeah, you're the real Scott Harris. And,
Scott Harris himself.
Yeah, Matt's joining us here, so we'll get your thoughts on the 2023 season in a second. But Charles, from afar, I mean, you following this team, I know you followed the minor leagues as well. What was your impressions of the 2023 season?
I liked it. Putting it simply, going more in depth. If you look at this in relation to 2022, I mean, it's a rousing success.
Not even close.
2022 was an awful year. However, when you also think about 2022, you also think of it as kind of a cursed year. Like, that was a year where everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. And that was on the heels of a 2021 season that was, if we're being perfectly frank, felt a lot like this 2023 season. The records almost identical, one more win this year than we had in 2023. A lot of the same motifs and feels of, hey, breakouts, and if this goes right next year, and a lot of that. So because of that, I'm encouraged, but because we went from 2021 to 2022, there is that lingering, nagging sort of, oh, don't do this again. But I will say there are some things that I really took enjoyment in. And I'm going to lead off with this. So I took, in preparations for this, I went and I cataloged a bunch of major publications 2023 preseason rankings of the AL Central.
I like this. All right.
And so every one of those publications, I took ESPN, CBS, Sporting News, Bleacher Report, Sports Illustrated, Fangraphs, 538, Baseball America, and then one more who I duplicated, The Athletic.
Okay.
All of them had, some variation of Cleveland, Minnesota, Chicago in the first three spots. And in retrospect, yeah, I get why they did that. I'm not gonna. But what bothered me, and it bothered me at the time, is that they almost all, with the exception of a fair few, had Kansas City in front of
Yeah,
it.
I didn't understand either. I saw the same thing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Twins winning.
No. Well, that bothered me, but because I see red.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and no one had the Tigers finishing with more than, I think, 71 and a half wins, which was Fangraphs. That was the most wins they had projected for the Tigers. Although
This is all model based.
There's
Yeah.
And 538 actually was probably the closest to actuality. They had it Minnesota, Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit, Kansas City. But they were also probably the most pessimistic on the Chicago of everyone, which they had them at 74 and 88. So that was interesting to see. But anyway, I really did enjoy that, because it's almost like because they had the Tigers below Kansas City, that made me enjoy them being at the top all that much more.
That, and that's, I think I picked, I want to say I had 75 or 76. I wish I could remember what it was, but I know I was a little more optimistic than Uper here, but no, it didn't, until when I started seeing Kansas City play too, it was like, this is pharmacist. I admit it. Like, I'll admit this. I thought that Kansas City at some point would have better pitching because they drafted that way, but I was totally wrong about that. And I freely admit that, but
they truly have terrible player development.
I've never seen a worse pitching development, other than like the Cardinals one's really bad too, but the Kansas City's is awful.
Yeah, they're stepping backwards. It's embarrassing. And then I don't know if you guys, Uper, you want to repeat what you heard the other day from the Royals GM, because that was fun.
Well, JJ Piccolo was quoted basically saying that his main motivation right now is to get the Royals back to a club that can win 80 to 85 games. And, for a team that was in the World Series twice within the last decade, that seems like a pretty piddling goal, And if my GM was going to say that publicly, I'd be a little distressed. I wouldn't be very optimistic about what we got going forward.
It's like what DePoto said. DePoto said this very similar thing with the 54% thing. He's like, we only want to be 54%.
Actually, they finished around with 54% as their winning percentage.
Yeah,
they want to win 88 games.
DePoto apologized today.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
He said he felt like an idiot, and he did.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Matt, what about you? I mean, same thing. You kind of view the game very analytically, and you and I have talked about prospects. In terms of even Torkelson, like the whole Torkelson thing. I remember when he was coming up, and you and I going back and forth whether he was going to be good or not. And he solved the home run issue, but the bad average anyway. But what was your thoughts about the season?
I thought it was about as good as you can expect it, especially with preseason expectations. I mean, we were so down in the dumps that, that first 50 games, that was daunting. Everyone was expecting like 9 wins, 10 wins thrown out there. They finished around 500, and they played 500 for about most of the season. I mean, they never really recovered from that 9-game losing streak. And hell, even that 2-9 start. Like, you combine those two together, they won 3 out of 21 games.
Yeah,
But they picked it up from there. I mean, most publications would say, well, this is just like a boring team because they're just playing around 500, not really something to talk about. But there was a lot from the young players that developed, and like as Dan Campbell on Hard Knocks said, that linear slope, just got to keep improving upon that. And some of these utility players, like, hopefully they step up, and some of the minor league players, never know, Wenzel Perez, Eddie Leonard, obviously Cole Keith, Justice Bigby. So hopefully they get added on and possibly contribute.
Yeah, that's where the utility player. There's so many utility players going into the offseason. It's maddening, and that's where we're at.
And I keep on looking in the minor leagues to look for a third baseman, but I see a lot of guys as utility players.
Yeah.
Well, could go hunting for Baltimore's system. They got Connor Norby, Jose Ortiz, someone.
Matt, what are you talking about? Justin Henry Malloy won third baseman of the year.
Our Cole Keith is going to be our future shortstop.
I bet you.
Oh man. Yeah, and that kind of leads into the next question too, because you guys do pay attention to the minors quite a bit, and the development side of things. Where do you feel the Tigers continue to make some strides to make them more competitive? Or I put 2023 in the outline, but it was 2024, and this is where like I'll start with you on this because, I think pitching wise, the Tigers now have a machine, and I thought I would never in my life would sit here and say that the Detroit Tigers are developing pitching are really good at developing pitching. I thought I'd never say those words because I've never seen it. Like we talk about those early 2010 teams; those are guys are already good. They didn't have to do much. But if you're talking about like developing Jordan Tata or Jar Jurgens, I mean, he got traded to Atlanta anyway. The Tigers did not, or what was another one? Figueroa, or was it Alfredo
Figaro?
Yeah, Figaro. Yeah, that's another one. The Tigers were never good at developing their own pitching.
Just weren't really good at developing anybody.
Yeah, for that matter.
That's a fact. I think that in terms of pitching, where we're going, they're certainly off to a good start. And again, Chris Fetter's been there for 3 years. We've seen some of the positives, far more positives than negatives. They actually had 15 shutouts this year, which I don't know when the last time they did that was, probably 2013, 2012, somewhere in there. I like most of the development. I'm not sold, like Sawyer Gibson Long, we saw 20-something innings. Okay, we got to see a lot more. Reese Olson, can he do that again? There's just a lot of people who need to come back and put their stamp on the progress that they made this year and put their stamp on it that it was real and they can do it again. But, when you look in the minors, you look at what Jackson Jobe did this year. They certainly got him rehabbed and they got him ready to go. He's looking, at his age, looking so much better than even the year before. Yeah, there's a lot of positives. I'm not, again, do they need to add a fair amount of pitching? Yes, I think so. I don't think you can count on what they had and say, oh, we're good to go. They need to make some key additions, and that's why it needs to be a fairly active offseason. But you have to be fairly positive considering some of the stuff we've seen for the last 5-7 years.
All right, what about you, Charles?
Well, I think it's been a massive improvement. I think the job that Ryan Garco and Gabe Rebus and et al. Have done has been phenomenal. It used to be that when we called someone up from the minor league system, it really only felt they were going to be successful if they were one of those guys who weren't going to fail regardless of who was developing them. A Riley Green, a Spencer Torkelson, a Tarek Skubal,
Hey, Justin Verlander.
Verlander.
That work ethic, that like nasty competitive.
Exactly. But those were the guys who would succeed in the system, were guys who were just going to succeed. Now it feels like we're starting to find more of these guys who are, putting together, interesting, like Kerry Carpenter, Steve, your guy.
Oh, Justice Bigby.
Justice Bigby.
Yeah.
Sawyer gets some love. Reese Olson are both guys who, most publications had them as middling prospects. Parker Meadows, I know he was a second overall pick, but I mean, he was a Tigers second overall pick. So these guys are starting to become less, hey, you're super talented and there's no way you can fail, and more guys who we've actually developed something out of you and made you into a guy who could possibly be a successful major league player. And I think that is absolutely a sign of progress compared to where we were.
They take the player's strengths and make it even bigger strengths and try to limit their weaknesses. And that's something we haven't seen. Just say, hey, go play good baseball and hope for the best.
I don't know what they're going to do about this Jace Young guy, though. I mean, he seems lost.
Yeah, he's awful. That Ford guy.
I wish Chris Brown was somewhere nearby and was hear that. No, the running joke, by the way, in our Discord was that a lot of people don't. We put Jace. The more we put him down, the better he got.
You keep bullying him.
Yeah, we bullied him.
We
Exactly.
would just bully Jace Young, and every time everybody would bash him, he would just go off.
Yeah, it started out as like Chris thinking he is nothing more than Christian Stewart, along those lines, Cody Clemens, and then he hit like 2 home runs that same game. So we're like, know what? If we're going to put him down, then he's going to perform. So.
And Chris has said, like, I feel like I'm going to regret those words, and he was correct. I mean, I wasn't that I wasn't going to be a bully about it. I thought it just needed time.
Yeah,
but no. In terms of Matt, there's one thing too about the system that I wanted to. I asked all you guys about this. The emergence of Justice Bigby, the numbers are real. You look at I looked at some of the advanced data. Thanks to Jerry, our data wizard over at Tiger Mining Report. He puts up together these really good weekly reports that we have. And some of the data, even the batted ball data, he's hitting above average in hard hit contact, in above the International League average. Excuse me. And when I was talking to Greg, the voice of the Erie Seawolves, same thing. Always hitting the ball really hard. Now, Harris made an interesting comment at the press conference where he said that that's why, with Spencer being here for a while, we had to look at other positions to put Bigby at. Do you think? I mean, he's in the Arizona Fall League. Do you think he has a chance to grab a corner spot in the outfield in 2024, heading into spring training?
I think so, but it depends on if you're going to have to move. They have to move some of the left-handed bats they have. They have too many.
I mean, Riley probably starts at DH.
Yep,
possibly.
100%.
So Parker stays in center. Then you got 2 outfield spots. I could definitely see it happen.
Carey, and then you have Carey and Matt. Carey's going to be in the lineup, and then Matt Verling is kind of.
Hey, he's going to be our starting third baseman.
He might be.
So also this begs the question: Do we truly think Austin Meadows' time in Detroit is up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish it. I wish it wasn't. It's sad, but
so I guess if this season starts, or this upcoming season starts like these past 2 starts, are we gonna go through the same song and dance? Is he gonna try it?
No, do they non-tender him and then sign him to a minor league deal?
That would be the best thing they do, is either the minor league deal or they just non-tender him altogether. That would be the only option that they have.
I mean, I guess I still see a scenario where he says, you know what, I want to try again, and it probably will end the way that it ended the last 2 years, but I could see it. And
I'm all for it if he can do it.
And I would imagine that if he says yes, I want to do it, they're going to probably defer to that. They'll probably defer to him doing that. They're probably not going to say no. I mean, maybe they'll say no, but I would guess that they would probably say, "Well, you're the veteran here." I mean, I don't know.
Scott might say no. They might say no to that. They just because of the outfield stuff they have. They don't really have a DH spot. I don't think they want to clog up a DH spot to begin with. I think
I think it's going to be a rotating door,
which is better generally anyway. You're not the team's not a finished product. You can't have a DH unless you have a finished product, so you can slap somebody in there to play that spot. Having somewhere you can rotate someone in and out to play. So playing every day is good.
And having just experienced the last 6 years of Miguel Cabrera as the full-time DH or set, it's kind of exciting to have that flexibility again.
Oh yeah,
I think that one thing with Austin Meadows, well, two things actually, because of the issues he's been having, they're going to want to at least publicly treat him as kindly as possible to nurse their way through this. I mean, that goes without saying, and they should. So we'll see how that goes. But the other thing to keep in mind, it's always easier for a front office to move on from a player they weren't involved with acquiring, right? So that was an Alavila move. So it's much easier for Scott Harris to find a way to wiggle out of that and move on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's where there's one thing about the product or the Tigers, the new phrase that we're hearing. They went down the player development camp. This is basically it was like your last shot and you're gone. Saw a lot of like product or prod guys. Wow, or guys like Eric De La Rosa, Yaya Shadoof. Gage Workman was fist close until he switched to exclusively batting left-handed. So I think you're right. There's even in the press conference, like when he was asked about that, it's like, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And it just didn't seem like they haven't really heard from him. So, and I think Deadly Ninja Bees said it in the chat. He said Tiger fans are already forgotten that Austin exists, and I would agree with that. It's almost like it's just not like to be mean or anything, but it's just like it's an afterthought at this point. So then you look at who can come up eventually and replace him. Or I think what's going to happen too, and this is where I think the Tigers, and Harris talked about this, and I want you guys to take about this. I think he's going to. There's going to be a lot of minor league players, like maybe like an Andre Lipsius, for example, who I'm a big fan of, and I've been for a long time. We're going to see guys like that getting traded because they have to make the Rule 5 decisions they have to make this offseason involving, well, they have to make room for Kyler Montero. They have to make room for Elijah Alfonso. They got to. There's some tough decisions here. So this is where I think. Well, basically, I'm asking you guys this: does Harris build the team to be more competitive via trade and waiver wire again this offseason, or does he go out and get a big name? Because I don't think he gets a big name.
I don't believe he gets a big name. Be a trade or
the only way he gets one is the only way he gets one is trading. That's it. Not going to sign one.
I think it's going to be more the same that we saw last offseason. And whether fans agree or not is one thing, but
I think it'd be pretty disappointing just to trade for more spare parts. Get a name. If you're going to trade, you have pieces to get a name. You have some depth in pitching. I would trade some of it.
I think it's more that Zadi approach, that Farhan. And mix and match some pieces. I don't really agree with it either, but I think he's just viewing it long term rather than fill in for this season. So I think the real season starts 2025 and then just play competitive baseball until then.
All right, I can see that. What about what's it you, Charlie?
I think he's going to go get Ohtani. I think he's going to get
that works very well, and Machado as well.
The future is now, baby. No, no. I very much agree. I think it's they brought in Scott Harris to be, and Scott Harris then brought in Jeff Greenberg, both to be guys who look for the value plays, look for the guys who can contribute more than what they're paying them for. And I think that any move we see is going to be a value move, meaning It's not going to be a huge free agent. It's not going to be someone who's going to pocket the, take the big pocketbook out, as the late Mike Ilitch liked to say. So yeah, I think it's one of those things where the irony of the situation is that as much as people wanted to get rid of Al Avila for reasons that were probably fair and justifiable, I think one of the things a lot of people didn't realize is it meant that, there's going to be a little bit of a step backwards, or a little bit of okay, well, this guy's going to want to come in and make things his own, and that means he's not going to prioritize winning out of the gate. I think that's part of the product of hiring someone new, hiring someone out with to get a fresh perspective. That's as Mr. Act Like It says, it's Moneyball, and the iron. And so let me just jump on the White Sox really quick. They hired Chris Getz to replace Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams, which they get a lot of pushback from.
Sorry, go ahead.
But they get a lot of pushback for that, and I can see why, and they totally deserve it. But you can also say that if the White Sox are looking at the year they just had and saying, well, we think that's a fluke. We got all of these talented guys. There's a world where we can come back and win it. Not saying they are, but if they think that, then promoting a guy from internally in the org is kind of the move to do that, because he's not going to be burdened by having to learn all of the systems. He's not going to be burdened by having to, go through and reassess the org. He helped build the org, so he knows it. He might not have done a good job, but he's in a position to gunslinger it like the Old West and make reckless moves, because in a way that's kind of exactly what happened with Al Avila. He was an org guy who got brought in, and then he went out and signed Justin Upton and Jordan Zimmerman. I think that's kind of,
and to the point, like everyone's favorite GMs now, Mike Elias, or former GM Jeff Luhnow, they didn't really make huge moves a couple of seasons into. They just kind of built through the draft and player development.
Yep.
And I'm perfectly fine with that. I there's the great, when I look at this year, comparatively speaking to like the waiver wire game, the Tigers have absolutely positively sucked at. They've been terrible. And I'm not going to count Brandon Dixon leading the team in home runs. That was just outright ridiculous. But the fact that they got something out of Andy Baez in the second, and just be able to, if you were to tell me that he was going to be the starting second baseman, I would have believed you that Jonathan Scope would not have been on this team at the end of the year. I would believe that. But to say Baez was, his OPS and Harris was, here's the thing about Harris. The one thing I did pick up on is that he remembers, every little thing he's won. He's like, he's instantly, he's going to tell you about it quickly. Like, for example, he was trying to tell everybody, oh yeah, watch Rosario Gibson along his changeup in the dugout. McCoskey and all these guys didn't, like, who, what? And I asked him about that. But he was ready to point that out, and sure as hell, when he started throwing that change up and did all that nasty stuff, Harris is like, yeah, and that's how he is, and that's how that I picked up on. But
one prospect that I don't see many people talking about, but Harris mentioned, I watched on Valley Sports. He says, keep a lookout for Brady Allen, in the same breath as Justice Bigby. Whether they have underlying data that suggests that Brady Allen should be in the same breath as Justice Bigby.
I got a few names I'd like to call him.
Like Brady Allen had a really good year at West Michigan, and maybe he didn't really get a lot of time in Erie. So as far as he was, Brian Pena was pissed that Brady Allen got called up to Double-A. I think Brady Allen defensively was a significant upgrade, because if they didn't have him in West Michigan, I don't know if you guys know or not, but Roberto Campos was awful in the outfield this year. awful. And yeah, Steve's like like we're talking.
It was bad.
Yeah, like, we're talking like Stephen Moya or
pretty
Stephen
bad.
Moya bad.
He
Like,
looked pretty lost out there, man.
yeah, it's a lot for a 19-year-old. But some of the routes he was taking the ball was just like,
Some Willie
He needed,
Castro,
he needed a map, man.
yeah,
It
he
was
needed a
bad.
map. Yeah, he needed a map.
Matt
Like,
Magellan. So,
yeah, I remember when Chris and I were out there, and Tony Paul goes, "Oh, I heard there's a butcher out there." It's like, no. What is he makes 3 errors in that same damn game. So it's Brady Allen did a really good job defensively. He really did a outstanding job. There was a couple balls that he hit hard, and if that's the underlying data, okay, I can see that. But maybe I need more of a sample size in double A before I can draw that, because until he got here. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he wasn't really, when they got him, he was putting up decent numbers, right? I mean, he wasn't.
I mean, I just pull up his Fangraphs. It's pretty middle of the road stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like 109 WRC plus stuff like that. The slash lines are pretty normal for A ball.
to be fair, the question was under the radar Tigers that Tigers
He would
fans
be,
haven't
yeah, he would be
heard,
under the radar, 100%.
so,
How old is he?
23.
20, yeah, 23, 24. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big B's 24, so
I
kind of
would
the same age.
I put Alfonso as under the radar because, I mean, he had a really good series for Erie in the playoffs, and the defensive metrics had him second best catcher in single A. Again, whether it doesn't matter or not, whether framing because of the automated strike zone, if that's going to matter or not. I would consider him under the radar. I mean, if we're going to go in that route, but I don't know. I mean, I'm looking for the next. Are they going to put JD McLaughlin on there too?
yeah, it's underrated. So
Yeah.
that question you could put in anybody, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's.
Yeah. Well, Brady Allen would be great because no one's ever compared to expectations because no one's ever heard of Brady Allen.
Yeah, unless you're me or all of us, and we're talking about like when he in South Bend get South Bend. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was only one guy that was hitting for West Michigan, right? That game we watched.
I remember Holton more than I remember Brady Allen.
Okay.
I mean, Brady Allen might have gotten a hit or two, but I just remember Holton pitching his brains out. But also, you brought up Scott Harris waiver pickups. You went Andy Ibanez before you went Tyler Holton.
Was that a waiver pickup or was that just free?
That was a
free
waiver
agent.
Yeah,
that was
a
a
waiver pickup.
Yeah, that was a good one. There was a couple of them that are kind of like Lyle Lockhart, for example. That was really good.
That's a win.
That's a big win because you look at his numbers in Tulsa to his numbers in Erie, it's not even the same pitcher. And then he was
walking everybody in the Dodgers system.
Yeah.
And then he comes here and cuts in half?
Yeah. And basically what he told us is that the Dodgers, like, either you go down the development camp or you're, to work on your stuff so he talked to his agent and see if they could get a trade. And the Tigers were interested and they were able to spot something. They were showing him and they're telling him to throw a split finger. But yeah, what the Tigers did there was they saw something and recognized it and made it into a weapon. The same thing with Eddie's Leonard.
I was about to say that's almost the exact same story with happened with Eddie's Lizards.
Eddie's Lizards.
He just got kind of bounced off that Dodgers roster. They just needed a spot when they traded for all those guys. It was like Eddie Rosario or Ahmed Rosario who they traded for, and all of them just needed that spot. So they ended up getting bounced off the roster because the Dodgers have just too many riches in terms of everything they have. So
and this is
where
where
apparently not pitching, but that's more due to injuries.
I think Lance Lynn's supposed to start game 3 for them.
I'm sure he'll be fine because it's the Dodgers.
Yeah.
and Urias has his own struggles. So.
No, but this is where I think this is a positive sign going things forward because of identifying talent in other systems like that. Because the biggest takeaway from Leonard, by the way, is that he's pretty young to be in AAA, by the way, and he hit above the league average, hard hit contact. Same thing with, I believe it was ISO numbers were really good in a short period of time. Now, shortstop wise, what's up?
Oh well, and when they pulled him when they got him from the Dodgers, he hadn't even played in AAA yet. That was what I found interesting. He was in AA and he was middling, if even that, at AA. And then once again, the Tigers grab him, put him immediately in AAA, and he starts having incredible success. So
Was he repeating AAA from 2022? Or I mean AA?
No, he had never played AA before that.
Yeah.
No. Oh,
Yeah. So
right.
his ISO jumped in AAA from what it was at Tulsa. And here's the thing. Here's the kicker. Where the Dodgers play the Southern League, Tulsa, that's a that's a hitters friendly league. I mean, that's like
paradise.
Yeah. There's the prospect for the Brewers, the 19-year-old Jackson or
Churio.
Yeah,
Churio.
Thank you. Yeah. That guy was hitting almost 400 in that league. I mean, that was just how ridiculous some of those numbers are. But no, I think that's where the Tigers are. If the Tigers are going to do, if there's one thing they have noticed this year is that getting those little getting the most out of their talent. Even a guy like Ben Malgeri, who, granted, his offense might not be consistent, but is he a guy who'll play a fourth outfield someday? I don't know. It's more intriguing to me. I'm not saying he'll probably end up being like Jacob Robson or something to that effect, but
Trevor Huth would say yes.
Oh, Trevor Huth, by the way, I love Trevor Huth. It was just when
shout out to Trevor.
Shout out to Trevor and him doing the victory parade over Reese Olson, because he really was on Reese Olson train, and when he called up, oh, why is he doing that? But anyway, shout out to him. So grades on players. This is where this is a fun thing for me to do, because growing up, I went to a Catholic school, so I didn't get an F. I got a U. It was a D and then a U. So it was like, what? So grades, we're gonna go through simply A through D, or incomplete. So I'm gonna go and name players off the roster, and we're gonna go from Steve all the way down to Charlie. So we'll start with, let's see here. I might even sprinkle in a minor league player too, just to throw you guys off. But just a simple, quick grade and why. Jake Rogers.
I think that's A+. That's a great season for him. A whole bunch of great defense, and he hit 20 homers. I mean, the contact's not there, but you don't really need it from the catcher spot. He steals strikes. He handles the pitching staff exactly the way you want it to. All the young stuff. I like Jake Rogers a lot. I've always been a big fan of the way he handles the defense. But I don't think
he had a great mustache.
And the mustache.
Rest in
by the
peace.
way, speaking of great official here, by the way, it was good to meet Sean over the weekend. We got a chance to meet Sean down at Comerica Park, and he has a great beard. So, Sean, thank you for the $5.
Sean was great.
Sean, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Sean.
Yeah, Sean's good people.
But I think Jake Rogers had as good a season as anybody could have expected out of that guy. He hit, I mean, like I said, the contact's not there, but I don't care. He can slug. A catcher that hits you 20 homers and can start 2/3 of the games, and you're happy with everything behind the dish, fine with me. I don't think he's a problem at all.
But what about the catcher ERA?
Oh.
It's the only way to evaluate catchers.
Yeah. Hubert, what about you?
Okay, well, from all these grades, whenever I do this stuff, I always C is an average grade, right?
Yeah.
So C is not a bad grade. In my
world, also
world,
for Cookie, yes.
C is not a bad grade. So for me, Jake Rogers, I did like that he seemed to get rid of some of the uppercut to his swing that he had early in the season. He tried to level things out, and I think he saw some progress from that. I think he's good behind the plate. Is he long-term going to be the catcher for this team when they're contending? Not sure. I give him B-.
Well, all right. Matt?
Yeah, I'll give it an A-.
All right.
So, I mean, basically all the points that Steve mentioned. Like, he slugs. He calls a good game. And he blocks. And he plays good defense. So, I mean, that's all I could ask for in a catcher. I mean, I don't really care about if he's hitting for average or not. I mean, he's making good hard contact and hitting the ball out. So that's pretty much all I can ask for.
By the way, Sean thinks that we need a best nickname award for the Discord. Rake Rogers is up there.
Rake Jodgers.
I was going Jake from Rake Farm.
All right. Charlie, Jake Rogers.
We started the Kerry Bonds, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is trademarked to this Discord.
That was when somebody asked
that-
Chris for a comp for him, and I kept calling him Barry Bonds.
I'm going to go A- as well. When I'm thinking of these grades, I'm thinking of them relative to my expectations. With as Yoop said, with C being that's exactly what I expected. That no more, no less. So if C is exactly what I expected, he went out and delivered above and beyond that. He provided the brilliant defense we have come to expect out of him, especially in this era that is even more challenging for catchers than it used to be. But he then also provided offense that you don't really see out of catchers. You don't see those home runs. You don't. I mean, he walks enough where he doesn't need to. 7.7% walk rate. Can pad the OBP a little bit to make it. I mean, he was ultimately a league average hitter. To get that out of a plus defensive catcher, that's a win. So A-. Obviously, he could have been better, but that's just me being picky.
Also, he's a great clubhouse guy.
Mustache.
Fun.
Mustache.
Yeah. I see him on all the post games. He seems great. Would love to see like the post game celebration with them in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, he's really cool in the locker room too. He's a really just like very approachable, always down to talk. And before Eric Haas got cut, it was the same way with him. Both those guys were. All right, let's move on. Lightning round to Spencer Torkelson. Steve,
I think that's like a solid like BB plus.
Okay,
just because of the struggles at the beginning of the season that he had, but he finished so strong in those last 2 months. Really turned on that actually he showed 40 home run power, which he's supposed to have. And I think I'll probably go with a solid B for him because of those first 2-3 months, man, everybody was dogging him for a lot of stuff. I mean, for a decent reason, but the underlying metrics always showed that he would flip it around eventually. The batted ball luck was crazy with him, but yeah, I'd go with B.
Uper.
I think obviously, the slow start was troubling at times. He came out of it. I've always been a believer. To me, the whole season was down to him, what him and Green could become, where this franchise is going to go. So he finished strong. We'll give him a B. I hesitate to go that high, but he certainly showed enough where I think the next couple of years are really the proof will be there that he's a long-term solution.
All right, Matt.
B-. B-. I mean, the last 2 months were great. June on, he batted, I think, a 113, 115 WRC plus. Obviously, I would like to see it a little higher, around 125 or so, especially with the defense being as bad as was. I don't think he's as bad defensively as he showed this year, but yeah, with the type of defense he showed this year, I would love to see the offense be a little bit more consistent and better throughout. But yeah, it was solid.
Mr. Act Like It agrees with you on that. Sir. I like that. All right, Charlie.
C.
All right,
gets a C for the reasons I said earlier. He did exactly what I expected him to do.
Okay.
No less. This has nothing to do with what I think he could be. I think he could be a lot more. This has nothing to do with the future, but based on what he did, exactly what I expected. Increase the power, increase the times on base. He even got a little bit better defensively. I mean, he wasn't good, but last year he could not field a pop-up. He's still not great on fielding pop-ups, but he's better.
It was still a rough go, but he got better as the season went along. So.
It was still bad, but it was better.
It would be cool to get him a third baseman and hit him in the chest with the ball.
No, we can sign Reese Hoskins and move Spencer. Try to fill out Albiel's dream of him being a third baseman.
Yeah. Continue the draft promise.
So we'll give Cabrera the MVP, and we'll put him at short, his original position.
I do like. By the way, I do like Richard's comment. He says, "You guys are tough recruiters." He's 23 years old, B plus. Okay. And Sean here with the screen. Torque thought was who he thought he was, and I'm sure if Chris Brown was here, Chris Brown would probably give him a C. Probably. I look. Bottom line is, I'm not. You know what? I'm not doing the grades because I can't. I'm just a journalist or whatever you want to call me. So I'm moving on to
incompletes to everybody. So.
Yeah, incompletes. Like it's he could have hit better for average. Okay, that's where I'm at with him on that. Andy Ibanez.
Andy Ibanez.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's. I mean, he's probably also a B because I thought he was terrible when he first came. I hate his approach at the plate. The approach at the plate always would frustrate me the way because he takes some of the biggest hacks you'd ever see when he walks up to that dish.
No, it is weird to me that he has as much success as he does because he steps in the bucket a lot.
Oh yeah. That man walks up like he's gonna hit a 6-run homer every time, and it's like Jesus, man.
Yeah, him and Luis Santana both. Like, down here, but yeah.
But his numbers turned out really good. The metrics are pretty good. I think he's probably a B. Like, I don't really care if he's on the roster next year or not. Like, I'm cool if they move on or they keep him. It's either way. But like, for what he was and what I thought he was going to be, way better than what I thought he was going to be. So I'll probably go with B.
All right. Uper.
Didn't he have like an 0 for 38 or somewhere in there?
Yeah, it was rough.
When you factor that into where his numbers ended up, not bad.
Yeah.
I like the guy. I like the fact that he's pretty reliable at several positions. He hit better down the stretch than I thought he was capable of. And now he is 30, so he's at that age where when you're a marginal journeyman type guy, you lose anything in terms of bat speed, your future is not bright. And Eric Haas will tell you all about that. So, but he did more than I expected, especially in the second half. So he's a strong C+. And if he's back next year, I like him more than McKinstry.
All right. Matt?
Yeah, he was a lot better than I expected. B-, B.
Okay.
About that. And, I mean, he had a few of those Javi Baez, like focus, concentration mistakes, whether it was base running or defense. But, I mean, his expected stats were much better than his actual stats. And, yeah, he performed. Played a solid second base. Don't put him at left or right field, AJ, like you did earlier this year. But yeah,
Baez did have more home runs than Javi Baez did. Charles.
Well, Matt, you can't know not to put him in left field unless you put him in left field.
Holy shit! Oh, sorry. Put Torque in center. Put Torque in center. We don't know if he can play there or not.
He played center at Arizona State. I watched him do that.
Oh man, that'd be an adventure.
It was like they were like up by like 10 runs, and they said,
Raj, can you play the Benny Hill music for me? Do you got that?
Yeah, I got that ready. I got it queued up.
All right.
Hey, we had Harold playing center a few years ago. So.
God, did Colorado try? I thought Colorado tried him out in center, and that just seems rude to do. That's
a really big center field to put him in.
Scalding at you, like.
Let's see.
That seems mean to do. Anyway, I'm going A- on Andy Ibanez.
Ooh, I like it.
Has nothing to do with how I think he'll do in the future at all. I think this is probably the high water mark for him. But also, I had zero expectations for him. I thought he was going to be first cut. Like anytime an issue was coming up, like we had to get rid of Andy Ibanez. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I mean, and he ended up being our fourth most valuable position player. He ended up being one of our 5 position players who was an above average hitter, or 4 if you only look at qualified hitters. And that's even assuming, and I think even less than that. I think we've had even
at one point he was a 2-WAR player too.
But I mean, he was solid defensively at second base. He was a productive hitter. And this is a guy who I had no expectations for. This is a journeyman we picked up from Texas. So considering how bottom of the barrel, how abysmally low my expectations were, they were A-. I couldn't reasonably ask that much more out of him.
Yeah, like when he was initially called up, we're like, okay, he's going to be here for a week or two, then he's going to go back down.
Yeah.
Just for the injury, and he just kind of performed and stuck around for the rest of the year.
Well, just the fact that they let him survive that over 38 or whatever the number was, and they kept him around was pretty stunning. I mean, there are a lot of people calling for him to be gone. You know,
his numbers in Toledo, though, like his advanced numbers showed that there was a reason why they want him out there. But by the way, Todd put in that Baez is like a carbuncle that you can't get rid of, and I had to look that up because I had no idea what the hell that was. And it's a type of staph infection that appears as a collection of boils or infected bumps. They're often swollen, red, and painful.
Ooh.
I mean, I think some people would describe that as the Victor Reyes experience. People didn't. People hated Victor Reyes more than I think they should.
Yeah. Victor Reyes got such a bad rap, man. He was fine for a Rule 5 pick. I thought it was fine, but yeah.
All right.
He was perfectly cromulent, but my issue with him was that how can you be built like this Leviathan god and be
He's a linebacker, and he's just like slapping.
But he also ran like Frankenstein. Like,
yeah.
Just like,
when he ran for balls, he'd throw his hands out, and I always thought he never knew where the ball was at.
He's a funny player to watch. So I like that.
I miss watching him run in the outfield because it was almost like it's a guy from Chappelle Show. Like,
he should never play in Oakland Coliseum again. Well, you can't anymore. But
was it? Was the game? That was the game last year, right? Where he
got lost in the sun a couple times.
Yeah.
I just like whenever he did anything good, you could say he is victorious.
We missed that.
Victorious definitely gets an F.
Can't spell victory without Victor.
Yeah. All right. Let's lightning round. 30 seconds on Javi Baez. Go.
I mean, like an F, man, is bad. It sucked. He had a really bad year. I mean, you can't enough. I mean, there's just no other options for shortstop. So I can't. People dog that guy so much, it's hard to dog him more. He had a really bad year. I hope he comes back and fixes. He goes back. If he can get back to an AWRC plus, he'd be really valuable. So, fine. It's bad though. F.
F. Uper.
Yeah, I mean, a couple defensive plays a week, and that you might like, but yeah, D-. I mean, it's hard to envision the road back for him. I mean, Harris was saying it's going to take an organizational approach to get him back to a good player. It's just really, really hard for me to envision how they get there, given what we've seen and what he fishes at.
F-. Wow. Okay. Yeah, F- from Mr. Act Like It. Matt.
We'll give him D-. Defense was there. He has great shades. I don't know what to say positive.
It's hard.
He has good tattoos. I don't know.
He's fun when he's hot. Like when he's hot, he's super fun to watch play baseball. But other than
that was a great 3 days.
I was hoping that the feet pick that he liked the feet pick on Twitter was real. So
he had that week where he
Javi likes feet and just show him some feet picks so he'll get hot.
Forgot about that.
Gonna give Raj a second here.
Go ahead. My perspective on Baez, I'll wait, but go ahead.
Because I like giving the crazy C. This is exactly what I expected out of Baez.
Yeah.
I had zero expectations for his offense. So
hey, you did mention that you dogged your Chicago Cub friends when Baez was a part of there. So it is exactly what you expect.
It was such a bitter moment, because everyone in my town is a Chicago Cubs fan, and they would all they all loved Javier Baez so much. And I told them time and again, when he's going to fall off hard, and he's going to fall off fast, and you're not even going to know it hit you. And any GM who gives him $100 million contract is an idiot.
I was in the same boat, man.
I think we all were. We were looking for the Correa or Seager. No, and
I wanted
Discord, we were like
Seager's Story, anybody. It was always in the top 4.
Yeah.
I have
been fine too.
I have had to eat those words time and time again. Yeah, this is about what I expected from Javier Baez.
Yeah, look, and here's the thing. Before we move on, if I had to give him a grade, I would give him a C, or like I know people are going to say, "Well, what's wrong with you?" Seeing the fact that he went up and owned it, he owned it to the press, and there's a lot of people on Twitter, and rightfully so, they give him a hard time all the time. But he's told Hinch like he can't see the ball well out there, but he's not making excuses. He said, "Look, he's had a lot of his grandfather dying. I mean, I think he's doing a lot of other things."
They said he wasn't healthy too, right? Towards down the stretch, something was going on. I don't know what. I don't know.
He
What
wasn't 100%, so they were trying to weed
I don't
him.
know. They never said what it was though. What did they ever say what it was?
No.
Okay. I was just curious.
Oh no. It was never talked about, but. That's why I gotta respect the guy who does not make excuses. Anybody he could have gone out there and avoided everybody, but he went and talked to the media, and to me, that's just okay. I have a little bit of a different opinion about him defensively. It's sometimes you were like, "Wow, that's a really good play." Sometimes you're like, "What the," but
and no doubt he's working hard behind the scenes to correct some of these issues.
You said that, man. I didn't believe you. I didn't believe you the way you said that. You were just like you were smiling the whole time, like wasn't on issues.
Trying to cater to the Twitter fans. So, but maybe he has more time and work with that organizational effort, as Scott Harris said, to try and correct and make these minor tweaks to hopefully perform better. I mean, we don't need Javi to bat 270, 280 in his best years with Chicago when he was hitting 25, 30 home runs. We just need Javi to bat 240 with some 20 home runs and maybe like a 90 WRC plus with the defense that he showed this year. I think that would be.
Oh, so go ahead. I was just wanted to say before Mr. Ack leaves out here, thank you for the $9.99. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
exquisite.
Very nice.
Off the Frickers building.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
I will say this about Baez before we move on. When he got bumped lower and lower in the batting order, I mean, I thought that was going to be a big deal, and you never heard him say one word about that.
Yeah.
Which, to Raj, to your point, that's him more or less acknowledging, hey, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing here. I mean, most times when a big name guy gets that, you hear about it. You hear about it and them complaining about it or something, but he seemingly took it in stride.
The defense still being so good while he had those struggles at the plate is pretty impressive to begin with, because he didn't let it bleed into his defense, at least, because defense was still always sparkling when he throw it.
Yeah,
he makes some bad ones, but he'd
I
still
think he
really
cares
make
more about
awesome plays. Yeah,
I think he just cares more about winning than his individual performance. So
which is good.
Yeah,
I'd rather have that. At least he knows.
He's a good teammate, though. That's the bottom line. He is a very good teammate.
Yeah, I can't jump on the dog pile. It's hard to jump on the dog pile on Twitter with him anymore. It's just like, guys, you can't do anything about him.
It's the same people.
What are you going to do? I mean,
it's the same people who I think there's some people who rejoiced in Matt Shepard getting fired, and they're doing some sort of celebratory dance. It's like, I don't see your fat ass trying to be a broadcaster, so shut up. I've been saying some of them were fat, but just seems like some of them were just.
I would love to see Charles be a play-by-play guy.
I think he has a chops for it. Definitely has the voice.
There'd be so many puns. Meadows in the outfield, it'd be ridiculous.
I would not be allowed in the booth during Twins games. That's the problem.
I'm waiting for obscure.
No, it would be a players only broadcast for the Twins games.
Yeah.
All right.
It would be Harry Carey and Jimmy Pearsall mashed into one.
I like it.
I like that. That's a good one. All right. So, just 30 seconds on Nick Maton. I'm going to go. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Go. Nick Maton. Go.
D.
Okay.
That his offense is just. I don't like he's able to watch all those pitches go by. He's really good at taking pitches, but he cannot pick out what pitch he wants to hit. Cannot see spin.
Don't give him a high fastball. That's about all he can hit.
He can hit those. Yeah, anything with spin though, I mean, good luck. He just can't see it very well at all. And then third base, he was not good either. He was struggling over there. Like I just remember that Cardinals game where he made 2 errors in a row, and then it was like all downhill from there. Like, but I not a big Maton guy.
30 seconds is too long. No, you're right, Richard. D and move on. Really,
Yeah,
as that goes.
Yeah.
Wolf was incomplete. Uper.
Oh, D. Not much more to add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is everybody across the board just gonna go D?
F.
Pretty much. Our F, yeah, F would
Okay.
work. I feel bad for him. I think he's much better than he showed, but just like a decent bait, our bench bet.
Here's one. I think this is gonna be a two different or many schools of thought on this one. Akil Badu. Steve.
Probably I'll give him like a C.
All right. C. Okay.
About what I thought he'd be.
Uber.
Yeah, I'm a C. I think he's a player that you can still have some hopes for. Draw some walks when he does make contact. Every home run he hits, none of them are fence scrapers. He has some pop. I mean, it goes when he connects. He just doesn't do it enough. But I see no reason to dump him.
Okay. Matt.
Yeah, see, as
okay.
Uber mentioned, he's got pop. He's got a lot of qualities that you want in a baseball player. He doesn't hit consistently in his 3rd year, so it's kind of getting that time, whether it's show me or not, whether you can hit consistently or not. But the rest of it, he has.
Okay.
He's a decent base runner, a good base stealer, has pop, plays good left field.
Sometimes. Yeah, consistent. He can be a little bit consistent.
Oh yeah. Sometimes he'll lose it.
Yeah, sometimes he'll lose the ball in the lights. Charlie.
D plus. I had big hopes for him, and I still do. By the way, all these grades are basically what did they do this year. It has nothing to do with what I expect them to do going forward. I still think the world of him, and I still think he can be a great player. But I had high hopes for him, and he didn't really live up to them. So D plus.
Yeah, I can't stick up for him anymore like I used to. So I don't know. There were some glimpses there, but yeah, I think he might be used to tree bait. Like at this point, if you have Big B waiting in the wings, if you have some of these players you're talking about, this is where Tigers can make these guys expendable. Because again, as I believe it was Charlie said earlier, there's no ties to because they didn't bring him in. It was a total Alavila prayer in hell Rule 5 thing because that was again.
And he's attractive trade bait too. Like he still has a lot of qualities.
He's young too. That's gonna help. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Riley. Okay, so we'll do all the. So we're gonna do these next two at the same time, so that way we can get the pitching real quick because we're running a little long here, but it's okay. Actually, we're having a really good conversation and we're getting more people as we come in here. Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter. Steve.
I mean, Riley. I mean, if I'm not counting the injuries, because I don't know if that's super his fault or anything. Because I mean, except for I don't know if he died for that ball anyway. But I mean, Riley Green, B plus, great season, A- for him. I mean, it's stay healthy for him. That's it. Like, he just needs to be on the field. Like, if it's with the injuries, then it's like a B- type of thing. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's really affect that. Like, it's kind of his thing. Him and then Kerry Carpenter, B plus. Good season, great. I mean, still it's for power, is kind of a force in the left-hand side of the lineup that they need. That's probably where I put him at.
All right.
Buy him a back to tank.
Yeah, I like that. Sean with the I like that there. Kerry with A plus. Riley put him back in the back of tank. Yeah, that's a very good, awesome Star Wars reference. Well done, Sean. Seriously, I would. You know what, man? You definitely do one of these.
Exquisite.
Yeah. All right, you real quick.
Riley Green is a B. It's just the availability thing. He's got to stay healthy, prove he can do it, and I'd love to see a little more power, but that's nitpicking. But give him a B. Lots to look forward to. If he stays on the field, he's going to be great. Kerry Carpenter also going B. Didn't finish strong, but he didn't like fail at the end. He was still getting on base a little. I still think there's a lot there. So yeah, give it a B and bring him back.
Matt.
B for Riley, B plus for Kerry. Riley just again stay on the field, show a little more consistency. He still has his droughts here and there.
That ground ball
And
Riley.
ground ball Riley,
Yeah.
just send him on the ground. So
Riley Ground.
Riley ground.
All right.
We're looking for more Linely Green end. But yeah, Kerry,
Agreed.
he shows it off. So he's Kerry Bonds.
Gary Bonds, yeah, that's true. Charlie.
I'm right there with Steve. I think B+ on both. I had big expectations for both of them coming into the year, and I think they, for the most part, lived up to it and then some.
Wouldn't that be a C though?
No, if they exceeded my
Oh,
expectations.
they exceeded. Okay.
I had big expectations and they eclipsed them. And obviously some things to nitpick with, some things to deep, as Yoop said, Carp's slow down, and he had some defensive things that, obviously an improvement defensively, but also some dumb routes, some dumb decisions back there. Once again, nitpicking stuff, so that keeps them from A territory, but B+ for both. Good seasons for them, even with high expectations.
I think old BK was how Rogers get an A- if Carp can't get any better than B for leading the team in WAR. I think it's because of the second half of the season. I mean, I think Carpenter, he had hit almost border 190, 200. He struggled down the stretch, and whereas Rogers at least was consistent. You knew exactly what you're getting with Jake Rogers. Kerry Carpenter started the year strong, but I think he kind of faded a little bit.
Kerry went off in July and August.
Yeah.
And I've said before, I'm grading all of these guys on a curve.
It also has to do with position. Yeah. It also has to do with position. Rogers is a catcher too. So it's just a bigger deal. And his defense is a really big factor in that because he's the catcher. You're going to manage the staff, all that.
You know what? And Todd brings up a good question, and this because it has something to do with the pitching staff. I'm just going to give you guys the pitching staff, and you just give me 3 of your favorite and why. And because I don't want to go in with running, I don't want to go all night here with this, but what Todd wants to know what we thought about expanding coaching staff's impact, and I'll tell you this: Robert Lung is
a weapon.
A weapon. He's a goddamn genius. Pardon me using the Lord's name in vain for everybody who listens. I apologize, but look what he did with Sawyer Gibson Long. He's like, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to throw a cutter in 3 days. They told him to start off and he learned a cutter. He learned a cutter in the middle of the season, and the adjustments he made to some of these pitchers to make them better. There were sequences where they threw nothing but a changeup, or whatever the case was. They were able, and same thing with, you got to give who's the Juan Nieves too. Juan Nieves deserves a lot of credit too.
Everybody talks about cutter, but Nieves is there.
If only Zach Logue learned a cutter.
Oh,
God.
Yeah, poor.
Can we call players going to Dr. Robert Lund, putting them in the Iron Lund?
We should do instead of Iron Maiden. What was that big statue that every Iron Maiden show? There's what's the guy's the mascot or whatever?
Isn't the Iron Maiden?
No. There's some sort of how every Iron Maiden shirt you see that guy always like.
Oh yeah.
There's a name for the guy. Yeah, whoever the guy is. There should be one for Robert, Dr. Robert Lung. Just I don't know. Anyway,
Tigers minor league report shirt.
Yeah.
I think more coaches is generally always pretty good. I mean, you look at any of the successful teams; they have a billion coaches. If you go look at the list.
Yeah.
By the way, I still
Lund was here in Iowa, and I happened to work with Brody Brecht's high school coach, and Brody Brecht went to Iowa and picked up about 4 or 5 miles per hour on his fastball within the first month of working with Lund at Iowa. And just signed, he's going to go probably in the top 5 to 10 picks next year's draft. I mean, he's one of the best arms in college baseball.
He can throw more strikes.
Yeah, well, he does, but he's still going to get picked up there.
Did Lund work with Driveline too, or no?
I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure.
Just curious.
But I umpired Brody Brecht a couple of his games. I mean, the guy's a major talent, but Lund took him from a great level to an obscene level. In terms of stuff and command, and not command, but stuff and velocity. So I think that was a really under the radar great pickup for the Tigers.
By the way, Stan wants to know why couldn't Lung improve Wentz or Hill? Stan, you can't get everybody. I mean, I mean, if he did, I mean, I think that he would be another major league team would hire him by now. But look, the bottom line is, regardless of you're getting Miguel Diaz, who literally had an ERA over 5 the entire season, suddenly come out and go, all right, I'm gonna throw gas and throw an ERA over just under 2 the last month of the season. You take Miguel Diaz. This is a guy that we've seen before last year. Who was on the 40-man roster. He did absolutely jack schwash.
Mm-hmm.
Schwash. Wow.
I like it.
It's good. I like it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Stan, by the way, we should do a countdown for how long I can stay on the screen. But sometimes it's because it's just me doing everything behind the scenes. I try to keep it rapid fire there. My bad. I don't try to keep it. I don't do the comments things on purpose. But anyway. We should grade. You know what we should grade though? One person we should grade across the board because we're getting requests for it. Erod. Final season in the Tigers uniform. Who knows? Steve,
is that your personal view of the trade deadline with them?
I mean, yeah, like B+. I mean, I think he had a good year. I mean, for everything he's done. I mean, I thought he was fine. Like. I don't know. Like B+ is probably where he's at. I mean, the first half of the year, I mean, he's like A+. Like you can't like that was as good as it gets for him. So, but I mean, he kind of tailed off towards the end. I know people are going to be upset for the thing he pulled the deadline or all that stuff, but I think he was fine. Yeah.
Cost him a Dodgers catching prospect. So, Uper.
Oh, give him a B. I thought he did a little better than I thought he would do. If he comes back, great. I wouldn't move heaven and earth to keep him around, but he showed he's a solid mid-rotation starter, and he pitched like one for most of the year, and he had that one great stretch where he was unhittable. So that was fun.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I think a B is appropriate. Had, as you mentioned, and Steve, that great stretch where he looked like a Cy Young candidate. Returning from injury, he was less stellar. I guess is generous to say, but he was solid. He is that starting pitcher 3 that you need, and he's on a good deal. So he's probably going to opt out to get a better deal. But
yeah, that was fine. Yeah, Trout.
He's the type of pitcher you need when you're going to be a playoff team. So
yeah, I very much enjoyed watching Erod pitch this year. There is a part of me that is still squeezing onto hope that he doesn't opt out. I know it's not going to happen. But I've really enjoyed watching Erod pitch this year. So B+, because I also expected him to be very good this year, but he even blew my expectations away. And yeah, I like the guy. I like Eduardo Rodriguez.
I like him too, but like I said,
I wonder how it's going to work because after the whole fiasco at the trade deadline, people were talking about his agent, and the teams are, I guess, middle of the road about his agent because I don't know, he's prone to do weird things, and his agent has no really connections anymore to the front office because a lot of his former clients or current clients were Tigers. He's from Miami, and Al lived in Miami, so there was that connection. Now there is none. So. And Erod has been prone to, I guess, decisions that we wouldn't expect. So maybe he does. Maybe he does opt in. So
yeah, I'd be cool if he opted in. I'd be cool to keep him, but
yeah, somebody said gave him a C-.
I mean,
he had won 13 games. He had
a 3.3 ERA. Like I don't know, like what more he could do other than have an under 3 ERA. Like I said, it's just the trade thing we're going to sour on him for.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could view it as how do you like watching him pitch? Because sometimes it can be like head scratcher or pull your hair out because he's working the corners.
Going back to
and just go 6 innings.
Going back to 2017, Eduardo Rodriguez has had the 5th highest F-WAR of all of Tigers starting pitchers for a single season.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been say what you will about F-WAR. It's not perfect. It has its warts, But I mean, we've been watching the point is, we've been watching so much bad pitching.
We watched Drew Verhagen start. So
We watched Drew Verhagen. We watched Mike Pelfrey.
Yeah.
Granted, that was in 2016, but
he was the Twins like inside agent, right?
Oh God, he and Joe Nathan.
Don't even get me started on who was the former Yankee pirate we signed that was always getting rocked.
Ivan Nova.
Ivan Nova.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah. Ivan Nova. Come on, folks. But yeah, so Deadly Ninja B. So all right, we're gonna end the show with this. What did you guys give Scott Harris a grade? I'll start with this. I give Scott Harris a B plus. Why? Again, taking some of these waiver wire picks really helped him out. AJ Hinch him and AJ Hinch were on the same page. He got better in the media too. Before it was really awkward at the beginning of the year. But he got better. For what it's worth, I think Scott Harris has done a pretty good job, and now he's going to see more of his influence. I see more of it on the minor league side because when players are going, wow, we have actual food, or wow, we actually have these things. The Tigers have always been notoriously cheap and behind when it comes to the minor leagues. They're actually catching up what other organizations have done for years. Things that organizations do for standards are doing it now. The Tigers are doing it now. It's pretty sad. Pretty sad. So I give Scott Harris a lot of credit for that. B plus, A minus level. So anybody else?
I think he gets a B for me, and the big knock is just how he managed the major league roster. And he kind of fumbled the deadline a little bit, but there's sometimes like, and hang on to Ibanez was really good for a long time when he was still struggling, but like the Maton and Scope thing for so long was really frustrating to watch. It's like, man, like division was always in reach. It was always kind of there. You could have just kind of maybe just tried a couple different things, but yeah, B. It was a really good season. Like he had a way better season than I thought they would. Like I said, I thought they'd lose 90 games, so it's fine.
Hey, I saw people saying we would be the worst team in AL history. Now, part of that was because 2022 was such a downer. Yeah. It was in the gutters, the expectations.
Oh, yeah, those things were terrible.
Wow, Richard went hardcore here. Richard and YouTube. 2 deals not brooming Erod Clark over Langford, E minus.
Wow.
I
love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Richard, I salute you because at least like you're not sugarcoating it. So I can respect that.
Yeah.
Well, over the next 5 years, it'll be fascinating to see the Langford Clark thing play out and see how that went.
Yeah,
It will be one way or the other.
We're gonna give Harris.
Me?
Yeah.
C plus. They didn't really try to win this year. That never impresses me much.
Swain style.
They basically did nothing last off season except a couple of reliever trades. They sort of kind of botched the deadline, although again that was Erod's decision. I don't know if they could have had a secondary trade lined up in case that first one fell through. I don't know how realistic it is to say that should be done. But again, they didn't do a lot. The minor league system did improve. If you give them credit for that, then we go with C plus. If you say it was all Avila guys taking the next step, which I'm more inclined to think that him and the people he brought in had something to do with it. So I guess I'll go C plus. Our leader.
Your directions.
No, so sorry, the dog just barged in. So she's
Walking treats.
yeah, the dog is Lucy. Come here, Lucy.
Yeah, that's my dog's name.
Yeah, that's Lucy, good girl. She started banging her head against the door because I didn't leave it open. So I was like looking over.
She couldn't believe that grade that Erod got either.
All right, so Matt, what was your grade overall?
B. I'm going to give it a B. And it's more towards behind the scenes stuff.
Okay.
So the infrastructure around the minor leagues seems to be a lot healthier. The infrastructure around the major league roster seems to be a lot healthier. Now, obviously, I would like to see him be more creative or take those, what does he call them? The risk. Doesn't seem to be in his vocabulary this year. So
Yeah,
Nah, with promotions or anything, he didn't want to do anything that was somewhat risky.
that did drive me nuts. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like he's building a better health for the org for years to come. And we talked about Alabila and his disconnection with player development and the analysts and the scouts. And it seems what they talked about with Scott Harris when they hired him is he's a listener. And he listens to people's problems and focus on how to solve them. And he listens to the scouts and the analysts and the players and the coaching staff, and he sort of connects them, which playoff teams do, continuous playoff teams do.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Charlie, to end the night, what was your final grade on?
You know, I liked a lot of the stuff he did. I loved his draft. I really loved the draft. You can say Langford all you want, but I like Max Clark a lot, and that's not just because he's an Indiana guy. It's because he's an Indiana guy.
I was there with you banging the drum on Max Clark. It was until Wyatt Langford popped off.
But
I was Langford guy,
I will say this. You know, when Wyatt Langford was Max Clark's age, he wasn't even in professional baseball.
It's true.
But no, I loved the draft. I loved the personnel hires. I've loved, I think, even people who I was skeptical of at first, I dug in and looked into them more. It's like, okay, that's interesting. I've liked what he's tried to do. I think some of the major league on the field guys, it's been a little boring, but I kind of expected it to be boring. It's his first year. He wasn't. He's still gauging and setting things up. I totally understand that. So I'm gonna go A. I'm giving him an A.
All right,
I like it.
There's somebody, by the way, was texting me that Joe Nathan, that they loved Joe Nathan, and to you I say, how dare you? How dare you? He was a twin. It was terrible in a Tigers uniform. He flicked off the crowd. Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, but thank you for everybody who participated in our YouTube chat too. We had Richard, Todd, Old BK. There's some of the Larry Love, by the way, big fan of Larry Love, Stan. Everybody, I think this was a rousing success. We appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. And again, if you want to join our Discord, and I should put the invite in here because I don't.
I want to put it in the chat.
Or in the chat. So I'm gonna put if you've not joined our Discord,
you'll get to hang out with all these cool people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like I said, if you're looking for somewhere where it's you're not gonna get whatchamacallit,
bullied online or Twitter.
Yeah.
We will get into disagreements, especially Steve, but
and you're gonna get bullied.
So yeah, join.
It's more fun if it's an unstable.
Well, there isn't.
Or a twin player.
Matt, were you telling me there was like another Tigers Discord that's just nothing but like trolls or?
Yeah,
there's one for Reddit, which is people don't use, and then
Reddit.
people don't use it. It's very inactive. And then there's another one that's filled with 20, 21, 22-year-olds, and it's just more memes and whatnot. So.
Okay.
They kind of raided our Discord once, and they were just doing the troll. Got kicked.
They got raided out. There was it was an attempted raid. It was an attempted coup, if you will. And it's funny because when that happened, I'm like, I see what's going on here.
I participate in the other Tigers Discord, but it's more I just meme about other things, and
it's a good outlet for your creativity. I take it.
Well, there's a bunch of cool people in the Discord. People should come hang out.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So if you, we also have there's a Pistons talk in there. There's a off topic. Thank you for the suggestion on the name change there, Steve, which used to be pop culture. But so, for example, we found a love for Synth and Steely Dan, bands like that. So yeah, plenty of topics to get to, or plenty of topics of discussion every day. There's a minor league chat in there. I posted a lot of the stuff in there. So.
There's game day talk too during games. It's great. Yeah. Everybody has a lot of fun in there whenever the games are going on.
It's not like Reddit, where Reddit's kind of like gatekeeping. We don't do that. So shout out to Cameron, who came over from our Reddit.
Yeah, so, Cam does awesome work.
Yeah, he does great work. So as far as shows go next week, we'll be back probably next as the series evolves with the postseason, we'll be talking a little bit of postseason probably next week. For the minor league report side of things, I'll be doing a podcast with a gentleman from Just Baseball. We're going to talk about Jackson Jobe a little bit. And and Richard with the comment of the night. Hey, Roger, ratings are higher than the Bears game right now. I started Justin Fields as my quarterback tonight, and that was not a bad decision over Trevor
I'm in the
Lawrence.
basement here, and I have it on, and it's not looking good for Washington.
Commanders.
The Bears are going to win? I don't know.
Who's even the Commander's quarterback? I don't even know who the hell it is.
Sam Howell.
Yeah.
UNC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not great.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I never heard of the guy. But thanks you guys for coming in tonight. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Oh, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, great time.
And next time we'll have to maybe do a trivia thing next time. But we'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel, Thursday nights we went a little early tonight, but 8:30, 9 o'clock. Until then, have a good week, everybody.